You are now tuned in to the best damn football recap show going out there today. This is United Football Media's Tell Me About It. And the name of the show has never been more proper because we got a lot to tell you about this week. There are bombs dropping everywhere, so much so that we had to bring in reinforcements. As you can see, our man Ace is in the house. We finally ripped him away from all of the Hollywood productions he's a part of right now. With that beautiful face and that beautiful voice, buttery smooth. We got our man from the cow pasture, the Brahma bullpen, Josh. We got our man from the formerly the PAWD podcast. We'll see what we call it next week and what next year and what team it is for. Our man FBI Tugboat. We got our guy who's on the beat. He's in training camp right now with the Cincinnati Bengals. Out of Cincinnati, covering the Reds, covering the Bengals, covering the Cincinnati Bearcats. It is our man True from DAR Sports Media, my brother from another mother and partner over there at DAR Sports Media. And of course, like I said, we got our man Ace from the Roughnecks rundown. Maybe next year it'll be the River Cats Rowdy Rampage or whatever the hell they name this Florida team. Whatever happens here, we're going to get into that in just a moment. Trust us. Give us just a minute to clean up some things right here, and then the main event will be here. We got a heaping, helping, plates and plates of relocation discussion for everyone tonight. Real quick, though, I do want to say, this news breaking kind of, and maybe we'll come back around on this. I'll have a little bit more for it last week. But I know me and my man, Brandon, of Captain's Log for the formerly the Showboats, maybe still the Showboats. We were joking in the Discord that, we just assumed that Shannon Harris had taken the job at Virginia State because of the money, because of whatever reasons. And then we joked, watch, it's because they just kept the interim title on him. They didn't offer him the actual job. It was a joke because it was so absurd. There's just no possible way that was actually what happened. And then today it is revealed that is indeed exactly what happened. They did the thing that they should have done well over a month ago for a guy who took over the team 3 days before beating the three-time champions and also during the season lost his veteran defensive coordinator to take the team through the championship and win the Coach of the Year. How the hell do you not take the interim tag off of that guy instantaneously? But that happened, and Coach Shannon Harris will be back for the DC Defenders. Beautiful news from me and my man Tay, DC Defenders show. Another thing we need to use, close the loop on here. We talked last week about the IFA and the Chihuahua Rebellion and the possibility that there are 8 American players stranded down in Mexico. Really quick to recap the story. Another spring-summer league is supposed to involve teams from Mexico, teams from America. It is slowly yet surely, spectacularly in some cases, collapsed in many different ways. I did see last week in our comments the guy from the Huntsville spring football, alternate football account commenting, we are going to tell the story of the Huntsville Astros and the Alabama Beavers. At some point, we will. I was planning on it this week, and then things went crazy. Is the Chihuahua Rebellion contacts these 8 players and says, hey, sorry, guys, it's been fun. Season's over, team's over, league's over. Good luck. And gave them no way to get back to the United States. They are stranded in Mexico. Whom among us has not had that happen? I know I have.
I haven't.
What?
That's insane.
There are some things being put together right now, some things being verified. I'm going to let my man Josh take it over right here. Tell us about things that are coming up. Basically, be on the lookout to this page, to various other pages, to the United Football Media, social media, to all of our social medias. There is going to be a GoFundMe coming up to be put together to help get these guys back from Mexico. You will see all of our lovely names and faces among the contributors to that. Because we're here for football, we're here to help, and this has been insane. Go ahead and tell us a little bit, Josh. Just wrap up from last week before we get into the the wildness of the week.
Yeah, to think of this, the biggest news of the day or the last 48 hours, 24 hours is not players being stranded in Mexico, U.S. football players being stranded in Mexico. If that blows your mind. But we talked about it last week. So Michael LaThorpe put out a tweet, hey, there's players stranded. I DM'd him, said, hey, let me know if I can help. Let me know if United Football Media can help. We're here to help. A lot of this, what we do is more about player connection and people connection and less about sports. So we want to make sure that the United Football Media is doing its part. So we've been going back and forth. And last week I didn't want to share everything because there was still stuff going on. But essentially, the players said that they were stranded, reached out to LaThorpe. The league said that was a disgruntled player, that they wasn't really stranded. And they're making something out of nothing. Fast forward to this week, it's confirmed these players are stranded and have verified to LaThorpe that they don't have the means to get home. Now, how they did that, whether they just sent them a screenshot of their checking account or what, I'm not sure. But LaThorpe, who's a credible source, that you guys probably all follow him on social. He's one of the guys who's really been breaking a lot of news for these alternative sports leagues.
And if you don't, you absolutely must.
You should.
The dude is so plugged in, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's verified. Now we're working on the GoFundMe, but the problem with the GoFundMe is we have to set it up and make sure that all of these 8 USA players have access to it, and not one player can steal money. We have to make sure that this is a legit setup, because if we're going to go to our listeners and our followers and use United Football Media to go out and say, hey, let's help get these players home, we got to make sure everything's legit. So we're definitely going to help. I know I'm going to help. My proximity to the border, I may know how to get back and forth across that thing down here from the cow pasture if I had to.
We've admitted to a lot of crimes already in this show.
Not that tight, bro. Well, they don't even question me. I just walk across. Anyways, but we're gonna definitely do our part to help. So keep an eye on our social, United Football Media's social on X, and we'll get that out as soon as we got it done. But yeah. And for those that don't know, the majority, why there's only 8, and you're thinking, well, what about the other 42 or 43 players are down there? Those were all citizens of Mexico. They live there. You know what I mean? And then if you remember, the Chihuahua Rebellion had the embezzlement story, right? They played a game. Then one of the owners wound up embezzling some money from some of the other partners there. So a bunch of money got stolen from the team. Someone didn't do their thing, kind of all that stuff that always happens with these alternative football leagues. And so that's what's going on. And you can just see how the players got caught in the wash. They're living in some hotel down there, wherever they're at, and they're trying to get home. So that's what it is. So stay tuned for that. And money and alternative sports league is huge topic right now. Just saying.
We will at some point, I promise, as soon as the UFL decides to mellow out, we're gonna tell the whole story of the whole IFA thing, because like he just kind of laid out, there's layers and layers and layers of things to go through, accusations and crimes of all manner. So
well, real quick, let's just talk about how insane it is that a league came out. They said they were going to be the next premier spring league. They didn't want to be the little brother to the UFL, all that stuff. Dude, they made so many claims. The Baltimore Lightning bought an apartment complex.
Yes.
Like all this crazy stuff for them to do. And then they literally strand players in Chihuahua, Mexico. It's not like they're in Juarez. It's not like they're right across. Like that's a travel. They can't just jump on a plane. It's expensive. It's a, tourist attraction place. Absolutely awful. The fact that this isn't making any kind of news is crazy to me, because we literally have American citizens that were promised something, were scammed, and then we're stranded in a foreign country, in a third world country, and zero news outlets beside UFM, because we have Josh, who I want to just take a second to praise Josh, creating United Football Media, all the shit it's gone through, all the stuff that it's gone through. One of the biggest parts was always, personal connection, talking to players, talking to coaches. And Josh has embraced it so hard. The fact that now he's trying to help set up GoFundMes for players to get back stateside. It's crazy. Josh, I commend you. But this story should be getting so much more, time on actual news. They're Americans stranded. How much do we talk about Brittany Griner? We're not going to talk about 8 players that were sent to play a sport and then got stranded. I don't know. Well, this is insane.
Brittany Griner was in prison. But yeah, no.
You're in a hotel. I can't imagine it's super nice though.
speaking of some people who might be going to prison pretty soon because of these crash outs that I'm seeing all over social media. Of course, what we're all here for tonight. Bombshell news broken first by UFL News Hub, then later reposted, reconfirmed, rebroken by Mark Perry and then James Larson, excuse me.
Tim Larson.
He gonna get my ass over that one.
Tim
How
Larson.
dare you cut down my chance to shine at any level? Love you, Jim. We are talking relocation. It did not end up being expansion. We're talking relocation. And please be aware, we're recording this on Wednesday night. This situation seems to be changing and developing and evolving, and different versions of the story are coming out every hour at this point, it seems like, throughout the day. But as of right now, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesday night, it's looking like Michigan Panthers, Birmingham Stallions, Houston Roughnecks, Memphis Showboats, all being relocated. The current, and again, this story has even changed. The list of places that these teams are headed are supposedly Boise, Idaho, most likely Louisville, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and a place in Florida. One that we're all assuming is Orlando, given its spring football lineage, given the fact that the league still has a good relationship with Camping World Stadium in Orlando. And that's, basically the only major population hub that doesn't have a pro sports, pro football team in it, or a large football presence. Personally, I would like to see something interesting like Fort Lauderdale, maybe in the FAU stadium or something like that. Would be an interesting interesting way to go about it. But we're assuming it's going to be Orlando. That I've been saying. I've been seeing people thinking that this is people saying that this is a desperation move, that this is a move that is a league that knows it's on its last legs. League. I'm not necessarily sure that that's the case, and we brought this up earlier today. When the merger happened, you have to remember that all of these USFL teams were in the hub. It wasn't a home market situation at all. It was two hubs, a north and a south. It was Detroit. It was Birmingham. So I'm sure there was market studies done, but what I'm saying is that there was no assurances that this was going to be successful home markets. That was the XFL's model, and they knew their teams were decent enough in their home markets. There was no guarantee of any of this for the USFL. And so my guess is when they came together to discuss this merger, they said, well, let's give these places a chance. And a chance was given. And we all saw the pictures all season long of what the results of that chance was. And we've been talking about this all day long, me and Josh and everybody. We're going to try and keep it classy on this one because I know emotions are raw right now. But the delusion and the crash out and the just complete and total lack of accountability, in specific by one fan base that I'm seeing, is just.
Say Stallions. It's the Stallions. They're gone, man. We don't have to sugarcoat it anymore.
Get through your day. I really don't. Like, you're talking about number one market this, number one market that. You're talking about. You didn't come out to the games. Nobody else caused it to happen.
They said that during the regular season.
Look, we don't have. Look. I just want to throw it out here. Let's hear from Ace with the Houston Roughnecks because number one, he's the best content creator in Houston Roughnecks history, and that's why I'm here tonight. I want to hear our VP of Content's thoughts on the Houston Roughnecks, the situation, and that relocation. So, and Ace, I keep it together. Tell us, man.
No worries, man. I crashed out last night. I was sending you guys screenshots of the songs. I was getting real emo last night, breakup music. I drove to work listening to that stuff. And I'll start and I'll say I feel like a part of my life is over, which is weird. 4 years ago, I started covering the Houston Gamblers. That team somehow survived the merger, staying as the Roughnecks, but it was still the coaches and players I've been getting to know. And then now I just don't even know where anything is. I don't, they say Larson is saying that the coaches are going to stay. Who knows if those coaches want to stay? Some of them were staying because they got to live in Arlington, because they got to play in Houston near their families. And it's a really hard situation. So I feel like part of it's over. I don't really want to go cover a Boise team. It was nice. I finally had them in Houston for 2 years. I could go, watch them in Houston. It's tough, but you have to, address the elephant in the room. Houston stopped showing up. They changed the Houston Gamblers. They kept the staff. They took the Houston Roughnecks gear and logos and everything. People didn't like it. Then they came out. They didn't win. They were absolutely awful. And people stopped showing up. People felt spurned. And then the thing that doesn't make sense to me is that the Michigan Panthers did show up. They showed up and they started showing up more and more. It's not like Houston, Birmingham.
Some other factors have come out about that.
Yeah.
We've discussed.
Yeah.
We've discussed behind the scenes how it seems like it's just a mess with Ford Field every single year. How they can't seem to get the scheduling right. We had the mess with the playoff games this year, and it seems like the Panthers don't have a home game until the week 5 every year, and then come to find out on top of that, it's costing them $500,000 per time just to get in the door.
Yeah. No, the fact that doing an indoor stadium, when you're talking about San Antonio, when you're talking about St. Louis, where it's places where those stadiums aren't being used for professional teams that often, San Antonio, they have UTSA in that stadium. But then in St. Louis, they're trying to find reasons to open that stadium. You're going into the Lions, which I'm assuming them being better in recent years isn't helping the fact that price tag is so high to go into that stadium. But you're going into a stadium with a successful NFL team. It's going to be expensive. That's why other teams are outside. It's much cheaper to go into a stadium that's outside, that doesn't need to be air conditioned, that needs less staff, things like that. So I get it. But when you're looking at Memphis, Houston, and Birmingham, the fans stopped showing up. It seemed like the numbers were declining. I understand that Birmingham's, they're like, oh, we had the best TV viewership. But when you're looking at relocation, you assume that those viewers are going to keep watching, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to keep watching. Now, you see a couple dozen people online saying, I'm praying that this league is going to die now. They take my Stallions, and I'm going to do everything I can to hurt this league. I don't know what you're going to do to hurt this league. You have 25 followers, and you live in Birmingham, Alabama, so I don't know what you're going to do. But, they're saying those kinds of things, and I understand.
Tell people to not show up to the games? Is that how you're going to boycott going to the game? Y'all were doing it in advance, I guess.
Dude, there were no billboards for them to see, right? But... I understand being upset. I'm upset. Part of me wanted to start posting those music lyrics to Twitter last night, to Instagram. I was really confused. I was hurt. I felt betrayed. I didn't know who to be mad at for that betrayal, because it's kind of us. It's kind of the league, us as like the fans in general, not showing up to games, the league for making decisions that they made. There's not one person that I can be mad at. I can kind of be mad at The Rock. He sucks. But outside of that, I don't really know what you can do about it. You just kind of live and let live and realize, it was nice that it happened. We had the Roughnecks. It was really cool. But, through UFM, we've had some really cool experiences. And I don't know, you just kind of have to adapt or die at this point. I think that's what it is. We adapt or die. I see how things shake out with coaching staff, with the rosters. If I have to cover a team and fly to Boise one time or Ohio or something, I can do it, I guess. But I don't know. It's a weird situation. I want to know what Tugboat feels, because I had my
team too.
How do you feel? Your team stripped. I texted Brandon last night. I said, how you doing, man? Because I knew he wasn't going to come on this show. I was like, how you doing? It's hard. How you feel?
The thing is there's the surprise to it, right? When I read the news, I was absolutely shocked. And it's one of those things, even now, I'm not even 100% sure. Like, I'm so surprised. I'm not 100% sure how to feel, right? If you look at, like, writing on the wall with attendance and other stuff like that, yes, Birmingham best TV numbers, it's exactly what I said. It's exactly what I said during the regular season. If you have the best TV numbers, well, given that I had the wrong mic picked.
I think so.
Oh,
Yes, I most certainly do. Most certainly do. Thank you, Ace. Appreciate that. All right, so you guys didn't hear me. Just to go back, honestly, just shocked, surprised, not even 100% sure how I feel, because if you look at the writing on the wall, I think for several other teams, and definitely Houston, definitely, really, the number one example would have been Memphis, of course. You talk about giving up on a team, 100%. Houston, yes, for attendance as well, and then Birmingham. You look at back to back to back, and you think people are going to show up to these games in Birmingham, Alabama, where not professional football is king. So just still, I'm just absolutely so surprised, and it's like, what else could this squad have done? There are other options for stadiums. In Detroit, I know Michigan State, East Lansing's like 75 miles away, which wouldn't have been ideal, but it's not like it's not like East Lansing's a ghost town, right? Not as popular as it used to be. It's not like nobody lives there. There
They're
was
the Michigan Panthers, so could have been anywhere.
Around, like, there are so many ways to have avoided this. And then once you get there, I have to wonder what the criteria were for relocation, because league-wide attendance down by a lot, but Michigan Panthers up by, I saw a bunch of different numbers, 30%, 42%, all kind, and it's kind of sometimes hard to really hard to draw an exact number on that, because I know people were talking all throughout the season of like, oh, they're doing ticket numbers, and and at certain times they're just literally giving out tickets. So like, was there actual a butt in a seat for that ticket? Who knows? Whatever. If we're using the metrics that we're given, we're talking about 30% at least increase in attendance when we go to the UFL championship. Man, we beat the team the team had beat once. Mike Nolan had never beat. Go to the UFL championship and still get the boot to wherever. And again, I know nothing's like 100% certain.
We're about to get to that.
But
I mean, hey, think of that in a beautiful way, right? You guys finally beat them, and ended up being the last time that matchup was going to go down. So,
yeah, for real. At least you made the playoffs, man. I've been covering the Houston spring team for 4 years, and I never made the playoffs. 2 years with the Gamblers, 2 years with the Roughnecks. Didn't even sniff it.
One of the things I saw, one of the things I saw, one of these people who was, screaming and kicking their feet about this. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to just, if they go to a new place and the people don't show up for 2 years, they're just going to move it again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. It's a new league. They're trying to make money. They're trying to find where the best fits are. So you get a chance. You either support the team or you don't.
Well, I mean, I think that's such a ridiculous claim, because I saw someone say something like that earlier on Twitter. I've kind of been watching it, and someone said, hey, you need to have history with teams. You can't keep moving them. Like, look at the NFL. There's a history with teams. Look at the NFL. Look at how much the Ravens moved. The freaking dude. Oh my gosh. The Ravens, the Browns, the whole AFC North basically moved a ton of times, a half dozen, if not more. Like, they moved until it worked. And so that's what this league is doing right now. Does it mean the league's failing? Not necessarily. It could. But it could also mean that they're doing what the NFL did, and they're trying to find somewhere where they can get a foothold. And they feel they have it in the, XFL markets. Whereas, am I the only person who wanted to see a game on the silver turf at Eastern Michigan? That's where they were practicing. Why didn't they just start doing games there? How much cheaper would that have been than going to Ford Field? Come on, man. I don't know.
True.
So many ways to have avoided this.
Thoughts on these business moves? We've been talking about it. If there's anybody who's been ringing the bell, if there's been a group of Silver Surfers on this, it's been us on Tell Me About It, heralding the destruction of these teams' existence. People didn't start showing up, and now it happened. Maybe. We're about to talk about the maybe, but go ahead.
If I could play It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday, I would right now. because my entire gimmick on this show throughout the season, last 2 seasons, has been to completely hate on the Memphis Showboats. I woke up every morning praying on their downfall. It's just,
and now your prayers have been answered.
It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. I prayed for this and it happened, but it's bittersweet. It's bitter. It's just a little bittersweet. But we kind of, like you said, the writing was on the wall from day one, honestly, since the league, started up. And I think, Ace, I think you did a tremendous job covering Houston, but don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know, really what happened with such major markets that would make, I thought, great football towns. I thought Memphis was a little but I thought Birmingham, Houston, to me, I thought that was going to work out. So I was kind of surprised a little bit. And, you guys had Kennedy doing the MC down there, the Roughnecks.
How can that fail?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
To go back to the point
I know why it failed, though, if y'all want to know, and Ace could probably confirm this. In Houston, it didn't work the second they moved hometown legend Wade Phillips out of Houston for the CJ Johnson. That pissed off a lot of fans. They should have left those guys there, and they had a great season.
Yeah,
because in the XFL, the Houston Roughnecks did pretty decent attendance. They were not bad at all.
The year I didn't cover the playoffs, it was awesome
during the Wade Phillips, Max Borgi era. To go back to the point I made earlier about teams getting chances, right? And they're just going to try this out and see. So Birmingham was a hub, had the champions. Detroit was a hub, so they probably already had the relationship. Okay, let's keep that going. Memphis, special spot in the Rock's heart, and also, and we brought this up a couple weeks ago, and I don't want to trivialize someone passing away. Fred Smith was a beast, man, but we've always discussed in the Discord and on here that the besides having a soft spot in the Rock's heart, the ultimate goal for this league was probably to get the private owners, and Fred Smith was a huge part of wanting to be one of those guys for the showboats. It hasn't worked. There was 3,000 fans per game. And by the way, Memphis being a whole of sports productivity, it's one of the worst watched and worst attended NBA markets.
Fair.
The Big 12 just rejected Memphis University in one of the most insane rejections I've ever seen in my life. They made the Big 12 one of the thirstiest offers I've ever seen. And the Big 12, who is not, by the way, really doing it big right now. It's the little 12, really, is what it is.
Calm down.
Even they said no. I believe Memphis University offered them $200 million and also offered to take no revenue for 10 years or something crazy like that. Just this insane, unprecedented offer. And they still got rejected. And that's because, like we covered on the last episode, these college conferences, what they're trying to do is they're trying to gather good sports TV and attendance markets to sell to networks when their media rights deals comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis, black hole of productivity when it comes to sports teams. It just is what it is. 3,000 fans per, and then Tugboat. It's such a black hole just discussing it. Tugboat got sucked right in there.
Can't deal with it. Can't deal with it.
Camera gets hot.
He's done. So that's why these places, and then Houston had the history, and then we've kind of gone through why that maybe that didn't work out. That's why these places got a shot. We've seen the pictures. The pictures got very, very famous over the season, and now we have all these fan bases on Twitter. Really, just one pretending like that didn't happen, like we weren't all laughing at this and saying, "Hey, this is a disaster." Just mere weeks ago. So we've lamented the Roughnecks. We've lamented the Panthers. We've observed the delusional, completely ignoring reality crash outs of the Stallions, and we talked about the sad situation of the boats. Before we talk about the new era that we're looking forward to in the future, real quick. So a UFL spokesperson said, I don't even know if my mouth is capable of forming and saying the words because it was so the most roundabout BS. Like I'm just not capable of talking like this, but basically we're still in the planning phases for next season and the one after, and we cannot comment on unauthorized speculation.
What's that? Unauthorized speculation.
Unauthorized didn't even call it unfounded. They call it unauthorized. Unauthorized speculation.
Well,
you might as well have just said, yeah, it's true.
and then how awkward is it?
We got
That's
true on the show, and that is true in the press because they didn't even say no. They didn't even say no, this isn't happening. They just said, we can't talk about unauthorized words. Like,
This all dropped last night. This morning, Birmingham had the youth camp where Coach Skip Holtz had to go and stand in front of microphones with the media. And he completely blindsided last night and had to go do that. I mean, the league is even putting coaches in bad positions, let alone Shannon Harris's, promotion. But then to have Skip have to walk out there and do this, the league is screwing over coaches.
and basically Skip said, nobody's told me nothing. As far as I know, it's all full steam ahead next year. The mayor of Birmingham even chimed in on this and said, I haven't been told anything. And currently, the Stallions are selling season ticket packages and renewing them. I doubt very many people have taken advantage of that because people don't go to games. But that's what the mayor of Birmingham knew. So before people in the comments say this, we are saying, hey, like nothing is for sure here. This was the news that broke, and to me, the non-denial by the league, I don't know, tells me that something is afoot. This would not be the first time that the people, I mean, hey, right, Ace, I'll go ahead. We ain't getting no access anyways. It's not the first time this league and both of the leagues have been showed to be lying liars that lie right to people's faces over and over and over again.
They lied about they lied about expansion.
Jaron Horton, he was a couple of years ago talking about, hey, it's Maulers for life, Pittsburgh, baby, and then like literally 24 hours later, Pittsburgh Maulers aren't a thing anymore. I mean, it's
they literally told him the Maulers aren't going anywhere. He heard that from a league executive, and then the next day they announced the merger, which inevitably got rid of the Maulers and made them a legacy team.
Yeah, they aren't going anywhere, as in into the new league. They're not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. Definitely not
into the future. Yeah, right.
So that's the mixed messaging. Nothing's concrete here, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
I think it would be a great Hunger Games style thing. All of these teams get one more year. They're going to tell everybody, you've got one more year. If you don't average 10,000 attendance, we're pulling the trigger. Let's do it. Lay it down. That's fair. I think that's fair enough. We got $9 tickets out here. If you can't get 10,000 people a week into the stadium on average, then it's over. The new markets. I was very, 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 and I saw Josh roll his eyes, so I guess he'll give his take on this in a minute. I was very into Boise right off the bat. And our guy Webb, whose primary talent in life is being right about things, is very, very bullish about this Louisville thing. I don't know anything about Louisville culture. What I do know is I approve of both of these moves because these would be the only pro teams in the state, not just the city. It's not just a non-NFL team. Both these states don't have any pro teams in anything. Maybe doesn't. Maybe I think Kentucky has a soccer team or something. But as far as major mainstream,
the Big Four,
the only pro team in the state. So I feel like now, and then Columbus is actually, people don't realize how big Columbus is. I believe it's actually the biggest city in Ohio, which says a lot. Don't have a pro team. They have a really awesome looking soccer stadium that please, Lord, let that be the stadium they're going to use, because 11,000 people in the Horseshoe is not going to be a good look at all.
Columbus has a hockey team, if I'm not mistaken. Am I like?
Yeah, they do.
Am I not?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, don't they? The Blue Jackets still there?
The Blue Jackets, yes.
Yeah, they're definitely there. Yeah.
So they got an NHL team, but no basketball, no football. And like I said, Kentucky and Idaho. That was the two pro places I was talking about. And then Orlando. So to me, I like the Boise market. Love it, actually. And then our guy Webb, man, he's throwing down every every dime he's ever owned. He won't say this, but I heard it earlier, and he'll try to deny it. But like, that's because he's trying to be bashful. Like, he did throw down his entire life's earnings that this was going to work in Louisville. So make sure you hold him to that bet. What do we think of the new Webb's bet that Louisville's going to work? And if you see True at the Cincinnati Bengals training camp, he loves footlong hot dogs. He's going to act bashful and act like he
We're not doing this today. 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 Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The new markets. Josh, you ain't said a whole lot, and you look like you have feelings about Boise. So let's go around the room. Let's talk about these new markets. Do we like the market, and which team would we like for them to get? Or would we like a relocation? To me, makes it seem like the team's just going straight there. But I think a meltdown of all the 4 teams and having a draft between the 4 new franchises might be kind of interesting as well. But to me, it's real easy. You take the awesome consistency of the Stallions and you put it in either Louisville or Boise. And then you take the championship game runner-up, awesome, solid team, best player in the league if he's back, Bryce Perkins, you put him in the other one, either Idaho or Louisville. Josh, what do you think of these new markets, man?
I'm fine with 3 of them, but Boise's absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's no point to even consider putting a team in Boise. You know how many people live in Boise, Idaho? 235.
Fill that damn Boise State Stadium every Saturday.
Well, first of all, you can't compare college. There's 106,000 in College Station, and that city's only got 100,000 people that live there. It's different because that's a destination event. This is not a destination event. 235,000 live in Boise, Idaho. Absolutely ridiculous to put a team there. You're telling me you can only get 8, 9, 10,000 in Detroit, freaking Michigan, but you're going to take a Boise. Anybody here ever been to Boise? Anybody been in Idaho? You could drive. You can drive for 2.5 hours in Idaho and not see another car on a Saturday afternoon. There is not a big enough population hub anywhere around there to support a team there. It's almost like they said Detroit, Michigan, Boise, Idaho is better. There is no position in reality. You want to that would confirm that. That would be another nail in the coffin if they put a team in Boise, Idaho, and I'll stick with that now. And you can't compare it to the college there. People get born, told what college they're going to go to, live their whole life looking forward to going to that college. Then they go to that college. Then they graduate from that college. Then they donate money to that college. Then they send their kids to that college. And there's 6 generations of Broncos that have gone to that college. We don't have 6 generations of Michigan Panther fans willing to raise their kid up to go to Boise, Idaho, or whatever. It's crazy. The other ones are fine. There's population bases there. I get it. But realistically, I'm not hating on Boise, Idaho. I love the Smurf turf.
Sounds like
don't get me wrong.
Boise,
yeah, I'm not hating on them. They're just the worst thing ever. And they shouldn't have a team.
He's like, you can drive 2 hours there and not see a human soul. I'm
gonna tell you right now. If Boise it does not have the money or the population, and I'm going to just throw this out there: the deputy athletic director for the university has already came out and said there's no stadium deal here for 2026. So why are we even still talking about Boise?
Well, okay, for one, there might not be a deal as far as people ain't put pen to paper. Doesn't mean that they don't have a plan in place already, and that's not what the plan is. And he might have been asked by somebody somewhere to say what he said. I was going to pivot to this at the end after we went around and talked about the new markets, but the answer to that is part of the rumors also is that if one of these places falls through, specifically Boise, that they're going to pivot to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which we've been hollering about for over a year now, would be the place that they should go.
I'll turn it over to everybody after this. This is my last point of Boise. The population for the entire state of Idaho, is less than the population of San Antonio. It's less than the population of Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Los Angeles, Sacramento, wherever. The whole state. There's more people within an hour drive of my house right now, and we didn't kill it in population. We didn't kill it in attendance. There's more people within and I'm just saying, how could you? We had 10, 11, 14,000 at our games, depending on what game you're talking about, and there's 3 million people that live within 30-minute drive of the Alamo Dome, and you think you're going to put a team in Boise, Idaho?
I think. This was another part of the subject I was going to talk about, was where would we like to see the different teams end up being? And to me, the answer to your question is I think they have to, if they're going to get this place to adopt this team and be as rabid of supporters as something from Idaho as they are of Boise State, I'm just going to say I wouldn't be surprised if Boise miraculously was the place that ended up either getting the Stallions or the Panthers. Just gonna, out of the teams that are up for movement, I would see that happening. Also, maybe some St. Louis Battlehawks. Hey, that's kind of weird. All the players who were free to sign anywhere else, they all ended up on a Boise. That's kind of weird how that worked. Kind of like how it happens with St. Louis every single offseason. So Tulsa. I'm guessing you think that's a much better option than Boise.
I'll let everyone have the floor. Boise's a terrible option.
I'll say Oklahoma is like one of my top 3 least favorite states in the entire country, and I think Tulsa is a much better option.
Okay, well,
like
then Boise.
Yeah.
Wow. Just
Yeah,
wait.
them
Those
Boise.
Boise Stallions fans are going to be in y'all's grills all day long. What are your thoughts on the other? What are your thoughts on the other new markets? Possibly there, Ace.
I think Kentucky's whatever. They have a rabid college fan base as well, and they have a population. Orlando already has people who wanted it back, and I'm happy that Brandon has a team, back near him. I almost wish it would just go to Tampa Bay just so that he could actually go to games. That guy hasn't been to a single spring football game, and I want that for him. The USFL championships used to be in Ohio, and they got a good turnout, dude. Yeah. I think Ohio is slept on. I think the state isn't amazing, but I think that it's honestly, true. He's like 100%, dude. I'm here. I'm living it.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm living it.
It sucks.
But I think that they did show up for spring football, man.
The thing is, I would be more confident about it if it was going to be Canton, which is where those games were.
I would love if it was Canton. That'd be
like 30 minutes away, right?
A little more concerning to me.
Aren't they very close to each other?
No, what's close is Cleveland. Cleveland's by Canton. It's like 45 minutes away.
Canton is barely in Ohio. It's like right over from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because I would fly into Cleveland. I've been there like three times, I think, to Canton. And I flew to Cleveland all 3 times.
There's more people in Boise than in Canton.
Yes. No, that's what's crazy.
Yeah, but the state
story
of Ohio.
A story I'll have to get into on a pod someday. I've been to Canton a few times for the Hall of Fame. Have some story, but Canton is literally like when the last time I went there, which was in 2012, it's like literally 20,000 people.
It is, but I will say they have wonderful practice facilities. Like when the Maulers and Generals were there, they had wonderful practice facilities. They had like 3 different outdoor fields that were all pristine, very nice. The public could walk up and they were taking photos with players. And then they had an indoor kind of like almost like the Metrodome where it looked like it was held up by air. And that was beautiful. The teams would take turns each day going indoors, outdoors. It was actually really, really nice. Like it was beautiful facilities there.
And they packed out the stadium regardless.
The hard part about when the Maulers and Generals were there was that neither of them were even Ohio teams. It was Pittsburgh and New Jersey. So it was hard to get fans there. But I thought the town supported them a decent amount. I don't know. I don't hate it, but I know Tugboat's waiting. He's
Tug. I
need to hear more from True.
Tug, the new markets.
Yeah. So I really like Tulsa. Boise, if there was a time to do it, obviously right after Boise State goes on their run, Heisman candidate and everything else like that would be the best time to do it. But I got to side with Josh in this one. You guys know how much I hate doing that now. You know how much I hate doing that. But yeah, and also with Boise, you get into the Seattle Sea Dragons kind of conversation. Like it's just so much farther away from everything else. I mean, obviously you have 3 of the teams in Texas, and generally the league seems like a little more centralized towards the middle. And now you have Boise, and you just throw that stone all the way out there, and you're gonna have to go out there every other weekend and stuff, right? Or not every other, whenever they have a home game, of course, right? Excuse me. Florida makes sense just based on population, tourism type angle, that kind of style. Orlando specifically, right? The Guardians were decently popular, but also a team that moved around. Weren't they in New York right before then? Ace.
Yeah, they were also terrible.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I think they were 2-8 the last season, something like that. Enjoyed, I have enjoyed watching USFL teams. I've enjoyed watching XFL teams. Florida, I like. Columbus, I very, very much like. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that wasn't it before. So that's Boise, Florida, Orlando, Columbus. What am I missing here?
Kentucky,
Louisville.
Yeah.
Kentucky, Louisville. Don't know that much about it. I mean, just like Josh said, rabid college fandom does not translate directly. I wish it did. No. Does not translate directly on over to UFL and spring football viewership and attendance, which is obviously, again, the most important part here. As far as which teams would go where, what team like fits a vibe, that I have. I mean, I could see Birmingham and Tulsa maybe. Florida, it seems like the experimental thing, so throw Memphis out there, especially now that,
Memphis
again,
Florida
Mr. FedEx, yeah.
They moved from Florida to Memphis.
They moved from New Orleans, right? Most of the players and coaching staff and stuff like that moved from the New Orleans Breakers up to Memphis, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was the Tampa Bay Bandits moved
That's what it was.
to Memphis, then the Memphis staff, when the merger happened, the New Orleans staff moved to Memphis. But Memphis was Florida. It was Tampa Bay, moved to Memphis. Yeah. Why not move it back to Orlando? Give it back to my boy Brandon. He deserves it.
Again, population-wise, tourism style, like that just makes sense. It just makes sense to me. It didn't make sense how, outside of them being a terrible football team, it didn't make sense how people didn't show up there beforehand and whatnot. Give it another try. Why not? All those other places I'm down for. Aric, what I was saying essentially boils down to Boise just being a little bit too far. That is too far to toss that stone, knowing you're going to have to go back there every the weekend.
Maybe I was really bad at geography, but I just Googled it because you said that. I didn't realize Idaho was so far out there. Why not just bring the Sea Dragons back?
Yeah, it's a border state.
If you're going to do that, that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
It's like almost as far.
Or Portland, like we've talked about, do both.
Yeah, I mean, wow. That's out there.
Yeah.
True, a man who's actually in one of these states. I want to hear what he thinks.
So, I mean, Columbus is cool. I think Columbus is cool. I don't have any problem with that. If I had to rank the locations in terms of ones that I think will be successful, obviously I put Florida at the top because it's Florida. I mean, that's a football state. No matter where you go, just about. I mean, unless you went like Jacksonville or something. Like, who cares about football in Jacksonville, right? So, Aric knows what that's about. Anyway, so I will say I agree with just about everybody on Boise. Idaho just does not stick out to me as a proper location for a team looking for a new location and looking to revitalize their organization and their brand and their numbers. Doesn't seem like a smart one. Tulsa, I do like. I'm not a fan of Oklahoma, so I'm right there with you, Ace. But I agree, Tulsa much better. It's funny, everybody's saying like Louisville, and being in Ohio, everybody tells me you gotta say like Louisville. Louisville is how they tell me I gotta say it. So Louisville is I'm like 70-30 on it. I think 70% like it could work, but I think there's that. I don't know how well it translates for sure. It depends on what team perhaps they bring there. I think
it's gonna be key.
Yeah, I think if you bring honestly, I think if they bring the Roughnecks, that's the most logical one for me based on everybody else. I don't think that's gonna happen, but that's the logical one for me because I don't know, starting over, maybe you can give them something to believe in out there in the city. I don't feel like Louisville is going to be as lucrative as the other three. If we take Boise out and put in Tulsa, I think Louisville would be my bottom pick. Personally, I don't see it like that. I think it could work, but I'm just not on board with that. As far as Columbus is like a perfect center for Ohio to have a team, because it's about an hour and a half away from Cincinnati. I think like 2.5 hours from Cleveland. You can kind of, these other smaller cities. Ohio is dying for more football. That is what I know for sure. They're dying for more football. There was a football league 2-3 years ago, going to have a team in Cincinnati as well. That fell through. They approved it for Heritage Bank, right across the street from where I'm at now, and it went up in flames maybe in like 2 months, and it just was never spoken of again. So I feel like Columbus could be a great way to get. I don't know which team they would bring to Columbus, but I would personally bring the Panthers to Columbus if they were going to bring a team. I think that'd be a great fit, just the seamless fit. And I know for a fact, so they're dying for more football here. As much as people love the Bengals here, I mean, it's not really much to cheer for. I shouldn't really say that because covering the Bengals, but it's not really. The truth is the truth. There's not really much to cheer for here. I mean, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, they're great, but we need more sports here. Much more sports here. And, like I said, Columbus is just an hour and a half drive away. And I think plenty of people in Cincinnati will make that drive. They make that drive on the weekends just to go do nothing. So to go see a spring football game, absolutely. But I'm 100%. I want to see Tulsa. And I agree. I think, Aric, you said Orlando is like the most. I think that's an awesome spot. That's an amazing spot, mostly because of the fact Orlando, to me, is a great city, and I think there's a lot of things. If you want to make it a trip to go watch a spring football game, you could go to Universal Studios with your family on weekends. Like, there are ways to make that, and it's all about making it a destination. Because I think Josh mentioned, like with Josh mentioned, like there's certain places that aren't destinations. Orlando is a destination, so that's a place where you could be there, and you're like, hey, what are we gonna do today? Oh man, look at this! They got the Orlando Stallions or whatever, like playing today or whatever, and like, oh, let's go see $20 tickets. Let's go.
And I think the way to make that happen. We brought this up when me and Josh did the big the relocation / expansion pod last year. It's a great site for their championship game, the UFL championship game, that has been struggling with attendance. If you aren't going to have it hosted at the home stadium of the team in it, which I think would be awesome, by the way, but they seem determined to not do that. If you're worried about attendance, right? Now you have a destination place. That's why we guessed, man. I can't believe New Orleans is not in on this right now, because you could have had your championship game.
I can't believe
New Orleans or Orlando.
Dude, they should have brought the Breakers back with Under Armour jerseys. I can't tell you how lit I would be for that. They're also like the number 2 or 3 television.
Yes, they're top 5 television market, and so New Orleans and Oklahoma. It's what we talk about every time we talk about expansion. So the fact that neither one of them are in this, or maybe tangentially in this, when New Orleans could be a great championship game home site as well. I don't know, brothers. Real quick, we get up out of here. I guess I'll give the final words to old Tug and Ace as they look to the future. Talk about their two teams moving on. Just a quick thing to do. I'll let Ace think for a minute. What do you say, man? Panthers. What do you think, Tugger?
So as we have repeated a couple of times on here, nothing is official till it's official, right? Does not feel great, the non-denial by the league in any official capacity, right? But it'll happen or not. If not, the old FBI tugboat ain't out here isn't going to change a darn thing. As far as what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to hop on the train right here. And Ace, I very, very much appreciate being able to work with United Football Media this past 2 years. I can't even remember how long it's been. I've really, really enjoyed making this damn podcast. That's what I'm saying. And I'm going to continue to do that, if it's the Panthers somewhere else or maybe a new team. I'm not going to make commitments based on, I don't know how badly they're gonna
butcher this.
Exactly. How badly they're going to absolutely butcher this, because the potential is high for just things that I do not agree with whatsoever. Let me just put it like that without getting a little too heated or using any words we got to edit out here. I will cover a team in the United Football League some capacity next year. I'll do it with the United Football Media Group, and I'll do it with a smile on my face regardless, because at the end of the day, I know a little bit about coming into these leagues and knowing, like, hey, right, Vegas Viper, like knowing that there's a solid chance.
I was like, do you have a Vegas Vipers out?
Yes, and knowing that there's a solid chance that some of these teams just are not going to survive, and that's okay. I've kind of made my peace with that. Just even like while listening to y'all, I've kind of been like, in my own head a little bit, like thinking about this team, thinking about the league and stuff like that, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I wasn't 100% sure where I was earlier, but barring any massive changes, that is the state of spring football, right? Maybe I should just be glad that I don't have Bryce Perkins, Toa down there stranded in Chihuahua, Mexico, right? Like, Jesus Christ. So that's my bit on it. We're gonna do the college football stuff at the end of this, though, right? The prompts that I had.
I mean, we're already pushing an hour. I don't want.
Okay, fair.
Next week, when the UFL isn't dropping bombs on us, because I still got one more. I got something I got to ask Josh after Ace goes too as well.
Yep.
And he can wrap us up on a league-wide view thing. It's something that you said that I thought was interesting, Josh, and I want to hear your opinion. But Ace, go ahead, man. The ode to the Necks.
Man, I'm staring at a giant Houston Gamblers flag behind my screen that I have on my wall. And I remember how much it sucked changing from the Gamblers to the Roughnecks. And now thinking about changing to whatever. Yeah, the Commanders, I see it back there. Now thinking about changing to whatever else. I'm not going to quit. I put way too much time into it. I'll still be here. I can't put my whole heart into it the way I did with the Roughnecks, dude. It also affects me, like, mentally, because watching this team make terrible decisions and suck for 4 years has been brutal. It's really, like, there were Saturdays or Sundays where I'd watch the games and my wife would be like, dude, like, if you're going to act like this after they lose, you got to stop covering them because they only lose. And
brutal.
Yeah, she knows. She gets it. Yep. So it's hard, but, if they keep CJ, if they keep my guys, because I've been through enough with these coaches that I'd want to ride with them. I know they're going to put us in the worst place, too. We're going to be in, like, Boise. Like, they don't make it easy for me. I try so hard for this league, and they try and hurt me every time they can. They're going to be like, hey, have fun in Boise, you loser. Have fun with a 1-9 team in Boise. Have fun with those.
You're going to Amarillo, Texas.
Dude, I couldn't even do it, man. That's drivable, and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'd fly up to Boise once, I guess. My wife was like, it's pretty up there. I was like, I'm glad you enjoy fields. Like, if her bar is that low, that's easy for me in a marriage, right?
Boise bashing is crazy here. So, Josh, we'll see. When this all broke loose, you said this is not the league panicking. This is the league getting better. So
that hurt me a little bit.
On this episode, tell me about it.
I 100% feel like continuous improvement is the goal here. And I 100% feel they look back and said, this is not working. I'll also tell you, in my opinion, I think the only two teams that are absolutely safe right now, because we don't know if other teams are going to look at being relocated. We're checking down here with the Dome right now. I've actually called it 3 different people with the Dome to confirm whether or not the league is talking to the Alamo Dome yet. I've been actually trying to do it for over a month. My point is, I don't think that any team is safe except for 2. St. Louis, they're the bell cow, and Arlington. Arlington's safe because that's the hub. Everything's there. They got offices, they got buildings, they got staff, they got year-round. Everything's there. So Arlington, Texas Renegades, safe. Everybody else, flexible. And I'm telling you,
city of DC, just name DC.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Hold on.
It doesn't matter.
Because I'm thinking about this while you guys are all talking. It's funny to me that DC ended up being one of the better supported teams, because when they first came into existence, it was because the owner of the now Commanders was so despised and so reviled that they were so happy to have like a real, that's what they all said. Oh, we've got a real football team now with real ownership and a real coach. And we don't got to be ashamed of being associated with this team. That's
was
not
like
the case
right
no
as
more.
after-
So
Spite is a
who
great
knows?
motivator.
2020 was right after like that season when the
Who knows?
Defenders first showed up. It was right after they became the Washington football team, right?
Yeah.
That was tough.
Yeah.
The,
So
the
who
point
knows?
the point I was making is if you're in a job and you're not good at your job, then they remove you from that job and someone else comes to that job. I'm not saying that if all the Birmingham fans, if they would just go online today and buy season tickets. Now, I know they think the team's leaving, but 20,000 Birmingham goes put a $50 deposit on season tickets. 20,000 people go do that today instead of
They wouldn't move.
20,000 people whining about the team being relocated.
Yep.
The team doesn't get relocated. The mayor's already wants them to stay. The coach wants them to stay. Go over there and put $50 down and keep your team here. And if you're not willing to do that, the league has to make that hard decision. And I'm not saying that people aren't doing their job. I'm saying the Birmingham Stallions are not working. So the league has to make the decision. And to me, I want this league to succeed for all of football fans alike. And if we got to get some of the weaker, the only one I think really weak was Memphis. And everyone else, I think they could have made it work, in my personal opinion. But I agree with the moving if it's not going to work. Relocation, better than contraction. That's all I got to say.
They fired all of this. They've had 2 Black Tuesdays where they fired all the staff. You got to think that they're bringing in people. They're trying to bring in young people who have a lot of ideas, get those billboards up or whatever, get something happening so that people will come to games. I don't know. I think it says a lot that, the Stallions, Luke Miller, who I feel for right now. I absolutely feel for Luke Miller. Talk about a guy who honestly is a really good dude. He lives in Texas like me. He's got to travel for those games in Birmingham. He's been Birmingham faithful ever since the USFL, ever since I started doing this. And his team is being ripped out from under him with a successful team because fans wouldn't show up. When this dude could fly from Dallas and get there to show up to games, be there shirtless in the end zone, with our guys, Southern Charm Sports and stuff, I absolutely feel for him. But yesterday, he was saying, all the Birmingham fans have to show up to that youth camp today to petition the league. And I was like, man, they needed to show up to the games. Yeah. They didn't show up when it mattered. It doesn't matter now. I can tell you that.
So I think close this bad boy out.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to go ahead and let Ace tell me about it for all of you football fans out there.
All right. For all you spring football fans, but most importantly, Houston Roughnecks fans, thank you so much. This has been United Football Media's Tell Me About It. We'll see y'all next time.